Putin declared ceasefire in Ukraine for Russian Christmas, which starts today. Today is Christmas Eve in the old calendar, and tomorrow is Christmas. So this is what he wants: ceasefire for today and tomorrow. And of course, today for the regular Christians, it's Christ's baptism in the River Jordan, the Epiphany or Theophany. Russian President Putin ordered ceasefire for the old calendar Christmas. A ceasefire for the celebration of Christmas with the old calendar in Ukraine, Donbass, was ordered by the Russian President Vladimir Putin in response to the request of the Patriarch of Moscow and all of Russia, Patriarch Kirill. The 36-hour ceasefire begins at 12 p.m. Moscow time, January 6, until 12 a.m. January 7. Many Orthodox Christians in Russia and Ukraine follow the old calendar, celebrating Christmas January 6 to 7. The request for a ceasefire was formulated by the head of the Russian Church as follows. He says, "I, Patriarch Kirill of Moscow and all Russia, call on all parties involved in the international conflict to impose a ceasefire on Christmas Day from 12 p.m. Moscow time on January 6 until 12 a.m. January 7, so that Christian Orthodox can attend services on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day." The Russian Orthodox Church quoted its head as saying in a statement posted on its website Thursday, January 5th, Putin's order, taking into account the appeal of His Holiness Patriarch Kirill, I instructed the Russian Ministry of Defense to implement a ceasefire along the entire contact line from 12 noon on January 6 until 2400 hours January 7, the Kremlin statement said. Due to the fact that the large number of Orthodox people live in the areas of hostilities, we call on the Ukrainian side to declare a ceasefire and allow them to attend the service on Christmas Eve as well on Christmas Day, it noted. Putin opening the doors to dialogue, but with conditions. Earlier, Turkish President Erdogan, who maintains good relations with Moscow, urged his Russian counterpart to declare a unilateral ceasefire. Calls for peace and negotiations should be supported by a unilateral ceasefire and a vision of a just solution, Erdogan reportedly told the Russian leader in a phone call yesterday, January 5th. Putin told Erdogan he was open to dialogue if Kiev, that is Ukraine, accepted Moscow-held territory as Russian, the Kremlin said, which has annexed Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, despite not fully controlling them, according to French agency. The Russian leader, Putin that is, referred to the economic ties between the two countries, especially in the energy sector, as well as the conflicts in Syria and Ukraine. From the Russian side, however, the destructive role of the Western states, which equipped the Kiev regime with weapons and military equipment, providing it with operational information and target identification, was emphasized, the Kremlin said. Putin has reconfirmed to me Russia's intention to engage in serious dialogue on the condition that the authorities in Ukraine, in Kiev, fulfill the well-known and repeatedly stated demands that new territorial realities be taken into account, the Kremlin statement said. Erdogan used his good relations with both sides to try to bring Putin and his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, to Turkey for a peace summit. Erdogan also contacted Zelensky of Ukraine a few hours after the communication with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. The Turkish president also had telephone conversations with his Ukrainian counterpart, Vladimir Zelensky. Erdogan, after asking Putin for a ceasefire in Ukraine, expressed to Zelensky Turkey's intention to mediate to achieve peace. In more detail, according to the Turkish president, Erdogan pointed out that Turkey is ready to undertake the task of facilitating and mediating the establishment of lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine. At the same time, the issue of prisoner exchange was discussed, in particular stating that the work on the exchange of prisoners is continuing. Erdogan said that Turkey can mediate diplomatically to speed up the process for the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Finally, Erdogan and Zelensky discussed humanitarian aid, Turkey's energy support to Ukraine, and developments in the grain corridor. Turkey's active role. Turkey hosted the 2 early rounds of peace talks and helped broker the UN-backed deal to restore Ukrainian grain to the Black Sea. Erdogan's call for a unilateral ceasefire followed a proposal early in the day by Russia's spiritual leader Patriarch Kirill for a glorious Christmas truce this week. The 76-year-old Orthodox leader, a staunch supporter of Putin, of course, has given his blessing to Russian troops fighting in Ukraine and delivered strong anti-Western sermons throughout the conflict. This is from Banking News, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.